I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Magistrate Humphrey, will you lead us in invocation, and if everyone continue to stand for the pledge.
Let us pray. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We thank you for all the visitors and guests that have been able to come out tonight. We ask that you be with us tonight as we make decisions that affect everyone in this county. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Church, if I could have you call roll.
Absolutely. Magistrate Humphrey?
Present.
Magistrate Coldiron?
Present.
Magistrate Riley?
Present.
And Judge Executive Chuck Dills?
Present. Moving down to item 5, approval of regular meeting minutes of October 19, 2021, and special meeting minutes of October 25th, 2021.
I make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes of October 19th, 2021, and the special meeting minutes of October 25th, 2021, as presented. I will second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Coldiron, a second by Magistrate Riley. All in favor by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving down to item B, resolution number 2021-09, authorizing premium pay for essential county employees that were employed during certain periods using funds received from the American Rescue Plan Act 2021. Everyone's had a chance to look over, and I want to commend our magistrates working hard also on a schedule that was prorated to be fair to all employees that continue to work through COVID, so that we can reward those employees with a little extra money to keep staff going during the COVID process. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 2021-09, authorizing the premium pay for the Central County employees that were employed during the certain periods using funds received from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
I second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Coldiron. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If not, motion carries.
We need to go back to the general claims.
We'll take care of that.
Back to A, approval of claims of the general fund, the road fund, and the jail fund, along with transfers presented dated November 2nd, 2021. Somehow you must hide A on me.
Well, we were excited to be able to pass the resolution. So I make a motion this evening to pay the bills against the general fund, the road fund, the jail fund, along with the requested transfers as presented, dated November 2nd, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Riley, second by Magistrate Humphrey. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That way y'all keep me in check when I do that.
So now moving
We're
to C.
trying.
You're just testing, aren't you?
I just making sure y'all are alert.
There you go.
Okay, we'll move down to item C. Resolution 2021-10 relating to the Grant County Fiscal Court approving a recruitment and retention incentive pay policy for newly hired deputy jailers at the Grant County Detention Center. Does anyone have any questions on that policy?
No, just acknowledging that we would have such policy if passed retroactivated to July 1st of 2021. I make a motion to pass resolution 2021-10 on behalf of the Grant County Fiscal Court approving a recruitment and incentive pay policy for newly hired deputy jailers at the Grant County Detention Center.
I second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Riley, a second by Magistrate Coldiron. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving down to item D, motion to accept bids for the Grand County Detention Center on replacement of the Inmate Intercom system. And before I get a motion on it, I just want to report that today at 11:30 a.m., the committee met on bid openings, which is myself, Magistrate Codarn, 2nd District, along with our County Attorney, Stephen Bates Jr., and Tabitha Clemens, our County Clerk, was present during the meeting. And there was 2 different bids that were advertised that we opened up. The first one's the one we're getting ready to look at, item D, and then also item E. Item D was for intercom system for the Grand County Detention Center. We only received 1 bid. The bid was from Stanley Security Solutions. Date of receiving was 10/29/21. Received at 12:54 p.m. and the total was the $49,700 on that bid, and that's the one I need a motion for. And I think on the bids, if everyone looked at it, it's pretty well the whole intercom system. And if you all have any questions on it, we have the jailer, Mike Webster, here present with it. But it's the intercom system that is in the cells for the inmates to alert, and also the emergency alerts that gets to the control room.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for the Grand County Detention Center on the replacement of the inmate intercom system from Stanley.
And acknowledging that this bid is for the full replacement, as you described, I will second.
Motion
I think-
made.
Go ahead. Just to make a note of that, too, I think the jailer hopefully anticipates that coming out of the canteen fund. So, that would help our general fund there.
Motion been made by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Riley. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, that was a bid also opened today at 11:30. It was advertised in the paper. The only vendor that put a bid in was Harp Enterprise. I see we have Danny with us with Harp Enterprise. Also, we have Tabitha Clemens, our county clerk here, that will answer any questions that needs further answer. And she's answered quite a few from myself and also Magistrate Codarn earlier during our bid process. But the only bid that was submitted was in the amount of $158,851, and that was a replacement of all the voting machines for the Grand County Clerk's office for our elections. So I have a motion to accept the replacement of the complete voting systems, Grand County Clerk's office. Does anyone have any questions for Danny or Tabitha?
I got something to say. You said you only got 1 bid?
Yes.
Now, why in the world are you failing not to get more than just 1 bid?
Okay.
Tabitha.
So to answer your question, there's only,
Who are you?
I'm Tabitha Clemens, the county clerk.
County clerk?
Yes.
And she oversees the elections, Phil. The county clerk's office.
I'm
one
the
that-
chair of the county board of elections. Okay.
The other lady,
It's been me for the last 7 years.
oh, well, I got you mixed up with somebody else.
Okay. All right.
You look alike.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, there's only 2 companies that can bid for election equipment in Kentucky. So,
That's a rule.
No.
I'll explain. So, the Federal Election Commission for the nation sets standards, and then each state has the responsibility to set additional standards for our state. There's only 2 companies that meet the standards because we are very stringent in Kentucky about election equipment. So there's 2 companies that can bid, and I can explain to you further why the other company probably did not bid, and it's dealing with barcodes and voter verified ballots. So there's detailed processes that we get into when we start looking at ballots and the standard and requirements that we have. And here in Grant County, our standard is of the highest that we can possibly have. So because of that, there is only one company that meets that standard. And that's the company that we've been using for, we've had a long relationship with this company. The company that we contract with is located here in Kentucky. They're a Kentucky-based company. And
Are they something to us?
no, no. You're welcome.
Tabitha, would you mind to share what you foresee the grant process to look like, just so folks are aware that that also is another revenue stream that may help compensate for this cost?
Absolutely. So there's money that's going to come from the HAVA dollars, which is Help America Vote Act. When we purchased equipment before my time and all of our time here on the court, Chuck was sheriff at that time, there was funding from that same fund to help fund voting machines for disabled voters to be able to use. And that was the Help America Vote Act. That was 2009-2010 timeframe. We've been using those machines since then, which is the e-slate and e-scan machines that all of us are familiar with that we've had for a long time. The e-scan machine, the reason that we are wanting to do this now is because there's going to be more federal dollars available to us. But if we don't go ahead and go through the bid process, then we're going to be on the last of the list, and we're not going to be able to get equipment in the time frame that we need to for the 2022 elections. The funding coming from the federal government has to go through, as you can imagine, many different layers into, from the feds to the state. The state then has to disseminate down to the counties. There's been several numbers thrown out at this point, so I wouldn't, I told Shauna and Chuck earlier today, while I think that there is probably a number, that number is going to change. And in 5 or 6 hours today, it did change. And even though it's going to be between $6 and $7 million that the state of Kentucky is going to have, and it's going to be an amount of money for each precinct. So we have 22 precincts here in Grant County currently, and we will get funding based off of the 22 precincts. To give you an exact dollar amount of that, I'm not comfortable doing that. However, the State Board of Elections will be meeting on November 19th again. We were hoping that in the October meeting they would have a dollar amount. They weren't ready to project that at that point. They've since done some work and feel comfortable that on November 19th they're going to vote on a precinct-specific amount. And then from there, there's going to be a deadline in December for the counties to apply for that funding. I will be responsible for doing that, and we'll do that as quickly as they send it out to me. I'll turn it around and have it back to them. So I'll know more in the coming months. What I can tell you from my budget at the county clerk's office right now, last year I turned over $100,000 to the fiscal court. I'm on track to turn over very close to that amount again. So I feel confident that you will have excess fees from my office that will also help to offset this cost. I know that there's projects that you plan on some of the funding from my office going towards. This would be one of them that I would ask that you would use the funding that my office has collected in excess to be able to help fund the election equipment.
Got it. And then with the purchase of this new equipment, it will replace the e-slate
And e-scan.
So both of those.
So
Okay.
this is what's so great about this new system. One, I've always had a fear that the only person who's going to use an e-slate in some of our precincts that have really low turnout is a disabled voter. One disabled voter. And if we had that voter assistance form saying that that voter needed help, we would potentially, there could be an issue of us not being able to say that it's an anonymous vote. So this machine is, there's a ballot marking device, so that's for a disabled voter. So it's an electronic ink pen. It's going to help them vote their ballot. So they can pull up with their wheelchair. It has a piece that comes out of it that has Braille on it that will tell them which buttons to hit. It has an audio device. It also is going to serve for our voters who use a straw to puff information, like into a computer. They're going to be able to do that into the voting machine. So there's people who have always had to have assistants, who's now going to be, and you know exactly who I'm thinking of.
Yep, yep.
They're going to be able to vote on their own for the first time. I mean, that's remarkable to me, because that's important that you are confident in your vote. So the ballot marking device is one piece of that, and that's for our disabled voters. And that machine has thermal infused paper that's being used into the machine, so it's not just a piece of paper that their ballot prints on. See, the other concern with the e-slate, which we have never seen any issues in Grant County, I want that to be clear, but it's not a paper verified backup. The e-slate is not. So this machine is going to provide that paper verified backup. So the best part about this voting system for the disabled voter is when that thermal infused paper goes through the printer that's connected to the ballot marking device. It goes through, it prints. They can see who they voted for. Tangible, touch the paper, see, if it says president, who they voted for, the party that that person represents. They can see every race, and then they take that to the exact same machine that you and I are scanning our paper ballots into and put it in there. So it all goes through the same exact scanner.
So does it calculate at the scanner level? Is that where it's calculating the vote?
So the scanner is performing information in there. It's recording information. We will still have a tally tape that will print at the precinct, where I will tell the poll workers every time. Brian can probably recite it in his sleep from coming to poll worker training, that they need to print 3 tally tapes and sign all 3 of them. And we'll place one on the door still, and the 2 will come back to the clerk's office to do our recap, as we do now. There's still a drive inside of the machine that is not connected to the internet in any way. There is not a modem inside of the machines that we use. That's where we're talking about the standards that our county has for our voting machines. So there's no connection into the voting machine with the internet or Bluetooth. You can't scan on your phone and find these devices in our facilities when we vote. Not possible. So we take that drive, and they're specific. They're called V drives. Our old cards were called MBB cards. So now we have something called V drives if we approve for this equipment. And those are locked and sealed, just like what we had with the MBBs, all documented in our accuracy testing, again from the County Board of Elections when we do our inspection, and then again by the poll workers on election morning.
So essentially, this would replace and update to current technology, handicap accessibility.
And it goes to the standard that the State Board of Elections has required of the counties, which is you have a paper verified backup for every voter. Not just
majority or some.
Exactly. Every voter has
That's
a
currently
verified.
what we have now, is that it's not all paper backup, which has always concerned me, not for the integrity of our county, but just if there had to be a recount.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that has already been confirmed, once the potential grant funding and the application process is confirmed, should we vote on this in favor tonight, it will not ruin the chances or discontinue the opportunity to qualify for that grant money.
That's an excellent question. So what has happened in the last, especially in 2020, there were counties who went ahead because of the vote center styles. These machines can handle the type of elections that we want to have, which is more vote center, where you get to choose which location you're going to go to. We can offer early voting for those 3 days that House Bill 574 passed, and this machine can handle that. So there's not the concern of we're going to vote on this tonight and then the state's going to say no, because what they've done is they're going to include the counties that purchased in 2020 as well as the counties that have approved for purchase up until the date that they give us the money.
That's nice, because many grants will say X date.
Absolutely.
And we discussed this early on, because that was one of my concerns, was
And we've
getting reimbursed.
We've really held off about as long as we can in order to make sure that if we're going to place an order, there's a timeline. It's not like HARP, our election vendor, while they have a warehouse in Lexington, there's not a warehouse full of these machines in Lexington, okay? It's, as we order, these machines will be built, and then HARP will deliver those to us. And that's something else that's really important in regards to our vendor. We don't ship things back and forth. They're in Lexington. If I need something, 99.9% of the time, I call Danny, and Danny drives to Grant County and brings it to me. All my ballots come delivered, or I go pick them up. If there's a time that I need something because I had more people come in and absentee vote, which happens sometimes. We have more snowbirds every year, it seems like, which is great. I can't wait until that time. Me
too. Me too.
I want my kids to still be little, but you know, we have that relationship where I can go down and pick it up. Something else that I shared with a constituent this morning was when they come to set my machines, there's not a concern of who's coming. I know every face of that company, the programmers, the training coordinators, who comes and does our training for tally machine. How do we tally on election night? Every one of them, from top to bottom, the owner, the president, our sales rep, our sales team that they have, we know all of those folks by face, by first name, which is really important when you talk about the security and integrity of the election, because when they come to the door, you know who they are. You're not concerned about going to the election room with them because you know that that's a familiar face and it's who's supposed to be there. And we're going to go to the election room to set machines together, or we're going to go to the election room to clean out machines, to replace a scanner if there's something going on that we need to replace something. So it's really important that we've built that relationship.
The last question I had, in regards to the bid here and the equipment and the various running laundry list of all the items that will come with this, do you anticipate any other cost associated with this change?
So the only cost that we're going to see, and Danny can come up and correct me if I'm wrong, the only cost that we're going to see is our annual or our per election cost that we already incur, printing of ballots, having, tally set for every election, the required things that we have to do in order to conduct an election every time. I anticipate that we may see a little uptick in cost in paper ballots, only because from 2020, specifically because in 2020 they waived us having to have precinct-specific ballots. We were able to have ballots. We had 22 ballot styles for that election, and we didn't have to get narrowed down to a precinct. So, for example, I shared this with Shauna earlier today. In Weemstown, I have 4 precincts, okay? There's 4 ballot styles at each one of those precincts, so that means there's 16 ballot styles there. If I just had the one location at Weemstown with all of those precincts together, I could have 4 ballots.
Not 16.
Not 16. So when we get to precinct-specific ballots, while that data is important for candidates, when it comes to actually running the election and the efficiency of cost for counties, it makes more sense to not have the precinct-specific ballots when we can get data like who's voting early. If you want to know if people have already voted, we could do that with the electronic poll books and the data there, so that you'd be able to target voters before Election Day, instead of knowing if 5 people in this precinct voted or not.
Got it. So there will be future efficiencies gained at a later date, potentially.
The legislator's going to discuss those things. To know what they're going to do is hard to say, but that is on the table for discussion. The reason that precinct-specific ballots, in my opinion, are not going to be as beneficial as what they have been in past elections is because we're going to have 3 days of early voting, where we haven't had that in Kentucky. In 2020, that was different, so we're not going to talk about that. But prior to that, we didn't have early voting. So when you didn't have that data and you didn't have those people, you had everybody coming on Election Day. And then it is important because that's the majority of your voters. It's not going to be that way. And on the 3 days of early voting, we don't have to have precinct-specific ballots. We can have county-wide ballots. So it would make sense if we could continue to use the ballots that we have. versus printing new precinct-specific ballots just for election day. But that's a discussion for the legislator, and we'll do whatever the law says.
Got it.
But you asked about cost, so that could be a potential to have a little bit more cost.
Okay.
Danny, is there anything I'm missing on that? Okay.
If not, Danny, if you could, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you could step up here. I just want to introduce you to the court, and I just want to sort of echo what Tabitha said, the working relationship. You know, as sheriff, I served on the Board of Elections. I filled in for Randy Middleton during election year, and also when I wasn't running for office, served on the Board of Elections. And HARP is a top-notch company. They service, and I don't know how many counties in the state of Kentucky right now are you serving?
97.
97 of the
Wow,
120
120.
counties. So
That's a lot.
that tells you their reputation. Plus, as Tevin said, working with them, we always knew who we were working with. And along with that is their knowledge. I mean, they're very knowledgeable with the equipment. Whenever you had a dilemma or a breakdown or one of the poll workers had an issue with the machine, you could pretty well count on the HARP employee knowing what's going on and how to fix that problem, which makes it easy for the Board of Elections when you have that type of staff on your all's side. So I want to thank you all for the service, and you know, I know it's a lot of money towards voting machines, but there are certain things you don't go cheap on, and I can tell you right now, voting machines is not one of them. So
Yeah, and it is a cost that's only incurred once every 12 to 15 years. So, you know, it's not something most counties budget for because it's every 15 years you have to do it.
Yeah.
So, but it is a lot of money all at once. I know.
does anybody have any questions for Danny?
No, I think just acknowledging the clerk's recognition of what she anticipates being excess fees that would be turned over to the county, knowing that, you know, we've done some other projects at the county clerk's office, and we know that there's other things to be done, and then the potential of the federal grant dollars. It's very likely that, you know, the majority of this could be absorbed, you know,
Correct.
through those two channels.
Yes.
And that opportunity might not come along.
No,
Right,
no,
again, with the federal dollars.
we've had some opportunity with some federal funds that we'll probably never see. I hope we never see again.
Yeah, true, too.
There's a lot of problems that came with it. So, well, Danny, thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, with that being said, if no one else has any questions, we can move on to a motion to accept the bids for the replacement of the complete voting system of the Grant County Clerk's Office, awarding the bid to HARP Enterprise for, and let me stop before we even go any further. On that bid, this $158,851, I gave you all a booklet. There's a price of $1,800 for the disposal of the old equipment.
Yeah, I see that at the bottom,
I
optional.
spoke to Danny when he dropped the bid off to us, if he broke that apart, and he did from the bid. Most likely, we will take care of that on our end. There's a procedure to do it. One, I spoke to Brian Miles about we would remove the batteries from the machine. He would properly have them disposed with a company that disposes the batteries. Our road department, which he doesn't know yet, I'm going to ask to crush the machines. After they're crushed, I will sign off and witness of signing off that the machines were destroyed, and then at that point, they would go to the landfill. That's basically what, Danny, that's what you all would be doing to them also, correct?
So you're saying that the $1,800 fee, in theory, would be waived because it's going to be handled in-house?
Well, that's not included, I don't think, with the 150.
It is not, but it is in red.
Yes, that would be an additional fee if we have HARP do it. And me being very conservative, I believe we can do it for cheaper money, so.
What?
Based on the information tonight, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the bid from HARP Enterprise.
I second.
I have a motion made by Magistrate Humphrey, a second by Magistrate Codar. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks a lot, Danny.
Tabitha, thank you too for being on top of this and keeping us all informed on everything. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I know the people of the county really appreciate it.
Yeah, she makes, I know, my job a lot easier with her knowledge of
Oh.
the equipment and the system, and anytime I have a question, she can answer it, so.
Absolutely.
And I think with her ability to already get earlier grants through other projects, I would see that this will be easy for you to submit once they give you the acknowledgement of the process. So I just know that you have experience in that, so thank you for
Thanks a
that.
lot, Tabitha. Moving down to F on our agenda, first reading of ordinance number 0009-2021-0254, an ordinance relating to an amendment to the Grant County zoning map from A1 to R1A. That's in your packet. That's zone changes on, I believe, 2.2 acres for Timmy Beach that's went through planning and zoning. They received a unanimous vote to do the zone change, and there was no opposition to that zone change. So that's our first reading. We'll have our second reading on the 16th at our next meeting. Okay, our next item under the fiscal matters is I was requested to do a proclamation for the Nurse Week for nurse practitioners. I spoke with the organization on this proclamation, and if I could have Cherish read the proclamation.
Nurse Practitioner Week Proclamation. Whereas nurse practitioners serve as trusted healthcare providers for patients in our state, and whereas nurse practitioners are at a forefront of efforts to combat COVID-19, leading efforts to test, diagnose, and treat patients and prevent the spread of the virus, and whereas NPs practice in clinics, hospitals, emergency rooms, urgent care centers, nursing homes, and private practices across the Commonwealth, wherever patients are in need, and whereas NPs work to expand access to care in underserved communities, end health disparities, and eliminate outdated barriers to practice so nurse practitioners can practice to the full extent of their experience and education. And whereas patients depend on the more than 9,600 licensed NPs in Kentucky to diagnose, manage, and treat their chronic and acute health care conditions. And whereas patients have confidence in NP provided high-quality primary, acute, and specialty health care services that emphasize health promotion, disease prevention, health education, and counseling that guides patients to make smarter, healthier, and lifestyle choices every day. And whereas more than 5 decades of research confirms the high quality of care provided by NPs, and whereas better utilization of NPs through modernizations, state laws, and improved policies creates better health through a more accessible, efficient, cost-effective, and higher quality health care system. And whereas leading the government and policy entities include the National Academy of Medicine, National Council of State Board and Nursing, National Government Association, and federal trade commissions have taken notice of the benefits in providing patients full and direct access to NP care. And whereas the Grant County Fiscal Court is proud to recognize and honor the service of NPs to our county and state. Be it resolved, therefore, Chuck Dills hereby declares November 7th through the 13th, 2021 as Nurse Practitioner Week in Grant County in recognition of the countless contributions NPs have made over the past half century and will continue to make on behalf of the health and well-being of our citizens.
Okay, thank you, Cherish. Moving down to, we don't have any old business nor new business to report on. We'll move on down to our reports. Everyone has the treasurer's report in front of them. If there's no questions on it, we have also animal shelter. We have Steve, if you don't mind stepping up to the podium on road supervisor. He can update us. We have paving going on right now to update us on that.
Yeehaw.
Thank goodness it started.
Amen.
They finished Sipple Road today, just about 6 o'clock this afternoon. They're moving to the Lake roads off of Reeves tomorrow instead of Morgan Creek.
They're working their way south.
Yeah. Well, he said he didn't have enough trucks to go that far, so they're going to do the closer roads first.
Okay.
And then when they get Morgan Creek done, then,
We'll have a party.
yeah, yes, we will.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any other updates on anything else other than the paving?
That's,
I know you all been out repairing potholes, and I know that I've talked to Steve several times a day on some different issues, so.
I just wanted to acknowledge, we had our road department meeting last week, and we should have tallied up how many miles of patchwork and some in-house resurfacing that's been done by the road department. So I just wanted to commend them. They've made some significant progress getting caught up. A lot of brush cutting, probably just a few roads that need to have the canopy cut up top, but have made some significant progress in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We checked off quite a bit of items that were completed on our running laundry list. So thank you.
we're getting there. We're catching up.
Well, thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
And let all your staff know we appreciate what they're doing. You have building inspector's report. And then item E is jailer report, if we have Jailer Mike Webster with us.
Good evening. So tonight, as we speak, there's 184 state inmates, 45 county inmates for a total of 229. Also, we've been continually to mow. It's slowing down a little bit. We've started picking up trash in a more orderly fashion instead of being here, there, and everywhere as the weather permits. We're concentrating on that. Also, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some unexpected revenue that we're receiving. I talked to you guys when we started about programs that there was talk of funding program graduations. Can't think of the House bill, but one of the House bills that passed for the next 2 years, they're funding part of the Corona package, is the COVID package, is this House bill for graduations. While it is not all in the bank yet, because this bill, this number goes to September right now, so September billing just went out.
And this is graduation of the substance abuse program.
And other programs such as GED, anger management, and so forth. There's the multitude of programs we offer there. It's $107,146 projected. So.
And we just received in, or getting ready to receive in, around 71,000.
That's what we billed for, 70-some thousand is what we billed for the month of
And those are the types of things, the unexpected revenue we like to see.
Right, and is there a restricted use on that, or?
The state it has to be a program that the state is set in place.
Right, but when the money comes, does it go to the general fund? Does
No,
go
it
back
goes to the jail fund.
Right.
Has to go.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yes, no, once that revenue is received, it has to stay in the jail fund. That's what it's funding is.
And right now,
The jail fund.
there's a big dollar amount, and I don't even remember what that dollar amount was, but it's projected that'll carry the state for the next 2 years. So by us having the programs we have, it's going to be lucrative at least for the next 2 years. Is there any other questions?
No, good job, Mike, and appreciate
you.
what you're doing.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes.
Can you tell me, not counting Grant County, but how many other counties do we jail at Grant County?
Right now, we have a contract with one other county.
One other county? Yeah, but I don't know how many are you talking about?
That number varies. I don't believe I have anyone in there at the moment for that county.
From any other county?
From you asked me about contracted county. I have plenty of people from other counties that are waiting pickup. They're in and out.
And
daily.
states, not just counties, other stuff.
One other county we have a contract with, Phil, other than our county.
How many did you say we got in the jail right now?
229.
I have 45 Grant County inmates and 184 state inmates, which gives you a number of 229. You asked me how many counties I contract with other than Grant or the state. I have one county that I have a contract with. Right now, I have no inmates. I do not believe I have any inmates for that county.
Are you telling me they arrest them and bring them to Grant County?
No, they've done a crime in Grant County, and then they get arrested and lodged in Grant County. So if somebody in California commits a felony in Grant County, they will be extradited from the state of California back to Grant County, stay in trial, and stay in our county jail until they become a state prisoner.
Or let's say Kenton County has a warrant on you, Phil, and you get picked up in Grant County, you're going to start your stay in Grant until Kenton comes and gets you.
And now they go to jail.
Yeah.
But yeah, not everybody in the county jail is Grant County residents when they're not in jail, so.
It just seems like that's so many people.
It houses 349, has 349 beds.
Okay, moving down to sheriff reports. We have Sheriff Brian Maines with us. And this gentleman's the one that puts him in that jail, Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
We took 861 calls for service in the month of October, 45 non-injury collisions, 5 injury collisions, 84 citations were written. We made 55 arrests with 75 charges, served 135 papers, and inspected 238 cars or autos for citizens and dealers. Been seeing an uptick in those, seems like every month, people buying or moving to Grant County from other states. Tax collection, yesterday was the last day for the discount. Had a really good October discount period. I checked yesterday. As of yesterday at 4 o'clock, which we still accept postmarks and still have some discount periods coming in this week, but we were about $1.3 million ahead of where we were this time last year in collections. So I credit that to the updates in the office. Some of them started with Chuck when he was sheriff, and we've continued to utilize those. We've started accepting e-checks, made it to where you can pay at Heritage Bank locations. So
That's very nice.
I credit all those moves to people paying earlier, getting their money in. Also, we picked up our 3 new cruisers on Friday, and as of today, all 3 of them are in service. And we now have a couple of good pool cars.
Yeah.
Good.
And they break down. So.
When's the last time we've had that?
It's been a long time.
It's been a while. Yep.
Not since we've been here.
Yeah.
Yep. We've all worked together and got it in the shape that it needs to be. And then also, I think I said it last meeting, but want to reiterate, Jacob Perkins is now on deployment. He will be gone for about a year. I believe he's going to Africa, but he says that could change. So keep him and his family in your thoughts and prayers. And also have Bo Hammond's going to graduate here in about a month, 3 weeks. Yeah.
And then that puts us,
We are full staff, except we have 1 deployed.
on leave,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Any other questions?
No. Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you. Bill, you have anything for me?
Moving down to judge's report, I just want to report on a few items. One, they just finished up, we had the replacement of the windows. There were 6 of them total that was on the 3rd floor. Also, down at the front of the building in the basement, there was 3 exterior doors that were the original 1937 doors that's been there that had started to have a little rot. They also let air in. The glass was not sealed, so we were able to put in 6-panel solid steel doors. It makes it more secured in that location in the stairwells. And if you all have the opportunity to stop down and look at that, Barry Martin Construction is the one that did the work, done an excellent job. And also the windows on the third floor, one of the windows was the original steel window that was put in the jail in 1937. And that's where a lot of our roof leaks been coming from. So I spoke to the roofing company. They may possibly get started before long on our roof before winter hits. I'm hoping they do, because once that's done, that pretty well takes care of about 99% of our leak problems in the building.
Good.
So,
nice.
I think other than that, that's the only thing. I'll also touch on the county maintenance. Jason Mullins, we had spoke about them clearing our parking lots with the county truck. The salt box gets installed Friday, and then I think sometime next week the snow plow will get. I'm hoping we don't get to use it, but
Yeah,
well,
let's
snow
not.
plow.
Let's not.
So and it does a couple things. One, it would relieve the county road department. Well, they'll strictly be on our roads and not having to take care of the Justice Center, the courthouses, the sheriff's office, jail, county clerk's parking lots, that allow our in-house maintenance here to do it and let them use the larger trucks out on our roads. So I think that's going to save us on man hours and also expense there. So with that being said, that's all I have to add on the judge's report. Moving down the magistrate report. Magistrate Humphrey, you have anything to report on?
No, sir. Nothing to report.
Okay. Magistrate Kodar?
Just reporting on potholes, and also want to thank Steve. We had some rather large patches that had to be done on Sherman Newtown, and it still needs paving all over, but that'll help us out for a while. Beginning to see or noticing a lot of appliances being dumped on the side of the road and a lot of the furniture, so, need to take advantage, the citizens, of the dumping that we have, or the special projects that we have on the whatever the pickup dates, and we've got one coming now on putting that type of equipment in those designated days. And also want to reiterate, because I see it a lot on the sides of the trash pickup, if you have got furniture that's got a cloth background or leather or anything, they do need to be wrapped, because they will not pick up furniture that is unwrapped. And I've seen it sit there for like 2 or 3 weeks because, they're thinking it's going to be picked up and it's not. And but we need to be conscious of that. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Magistrate. Magistrate Riley?
Just wanted to acknowledge the road department and the work that they've done with several constituents that have reached out, as we did earlier. Encourage folks in the community to shop local this weekend in downtown Williamstown. Some businesses have open house for the holidays. And then CASA also has a fundraiser at Moonberg on Saturday night, which is a nonprofit for Carroll, Grant, and Owen County court system for the families. And so just wanted to encourage folks to consider supporting those initiatives.
Okay, thanks a lot. Moving down to item 10, we have some people out in the audience. Does anyone want to address the court tonight? If not, that being said, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I want to remind everyone our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. It will be done by Zoom. That links will be posted on the doors along with emailed out to anyone requesting the Zoom link. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I second.
Had a motion made by Magistrate Riley, a second by Magistrate Kodar. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight.